Well, good afternoon. It is Thursday of the second week of lockdown, and it's just a lot of things that we have to get used to. But today, I want to talk to you about Maundy Thursday. It's one of those days that's on the calendar that uh, some just pass by from Wednesday to Good Friday to Easter, and they don't think about Maundy Thursday. So today, I want to just talk a little bit about that in today's devotion. Well, the name Maundy Thursday comes from the Latin mandatum, the first word in the Latin rendering of John 13:34, which reads, "A new commandment, which is mandatum novum, I give to you that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another." Now, this commandment was given by Jesus on the Thursday before his crucifixion. So, Maundy Thursday is the Thursday of the commandment, as it's called. Now, this is the commandment again: love one another just as I have loved you. But you may have read Galatians 5:14. 5:14 says, "For the whole law is fulfilled in one word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself." And people sometimes get the two confused, but they are separate for different reasons. If the whole law is fulfilled in love your neighbor as yourself, what more can love one another as Christ loved you add to the fulfillment of the whole law? But we have to understand here, so we aren't confused, that Jesus did not replace or change the commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself, as you love yourself. What he did is he filled it out, and he gave it clear illustration. And here's what Jesus is saying. He's saying, here is what I mean as yourself. Watch me. I mean, just as you would want someone to set you free from certain death, so you should set them free from certain death. That is how I am now loving you. My suffering and death is what I mean by as yourself. You want life? Live to give others life at any cost. And that's what he means. So John says, by this we know love, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. That's 1 John 3:16. Well, was Jesus loving us as he loved himself? Listen to Ephesians 5:29-30. No one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. And in the horrors of his suffering, Christ was sustained by the joy that was set before him. That's in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. And that joy was the everlasting gladness of his redeemed people, satisfied in the presence of the risen King. So we see the greatest love in action on Maundy Thursday. And tomorrow, of course, on Good Friday. John 13:1, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. He loved us to the uttermost, if you will. And let us be so moved by this love that it becomes our own. We need to understand that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for others. Now that raises one final question. Some people don't understand truly what that means, and I want to clarify that because I think it's important. I used to think that this meant dying for another person, and that might be true. That might be there may be an occasion where that comes up. But what I've since learned is that I can and must lay down my life for others, even as I live, in order for love to rule my life. You see, I can't do it to get anything. I must do it just like Jesus did it for me, expecting nothing in return. And what you and I eventually learn is that we can spend our whole life chasing what we want and never find it. Or we can put God and others first and find that what we want chases us down. How do we live this out in our own lives as friends, as coworkers, as parents, as spouse? It all starts by making Jesus first in our life. In him is the power to love, and without him we can do nothing. In other words, we must sacrifice so others may. This is the commandment, and that is what Jesus said on Maundy, Thursday. God bless. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow on Good Friday.